I'm delighted to introduce our final speakers, Dr. Mindy Fain and Dr. Esther Sternberg. Esther is a professor of medicine, psychology, architecture, planning, and landscape architecture, and she is also the founding director of the University of Arizona Institute on Place, Wellbeing, and Performance. And I recently learned that she has a new book coming out in September called Well at Work. I hope I'm not...
No, that's okay.
Yeah, I want to read it. Creating well-being in any workspace. Also, my colleague and friend, Dr. Mindy Fain. She is the Ann and Alden Hart Endowed Professor of Medicine. She is the Division Chief for Geriatrics and General Internal Medicine and Palliative Care, and co-director with Yanko at the Arizona Center on Aging. She is the Associate Director for Education, Care, and Community Research for the Innovations in Healthy Aging Initiative. And I'm just personally such a fan of both of yours, so thank you for closing out the day.
I'm not leaving you. I'm just getting a...
getting a microphone. Okay, great.
Okay.
Well, thank you for that great introduction. There we are. Thank you all for your persistence and engagement. This has been a long day, an exciting day, which really has highlighted the work across the span of aging at the University of Arizona. And of course, thank you to Kathy Insel for keeping this initiative going, even during COVID and during all kinds of pullbacks of budgets and so on and so forth. But when President Robbins and Vice President Michael Dake of the Health Sciences decided to fund this initiative, the goal was to bring researchers across the university who were involved in any aspects of aging. And of course, there's, as you heard from Carol, and you know, the whole the PAN initiative, the Restruct from Lee Ryan and Yanko Nikolic and Mindy. There's a tremendous amount of research on aging across the university, and this provides an opportunity not only to bring these researchers together, but also to bring in new researchers into the fold, which is what you heard about. So I'm just going to summarize quickly. I know it's been a long day, but you saw this slide from Kathy Insel earlier, which just touches on the many different domains that are impact aging and in which research can be carried out. And it goes from technology, the built environment, social and emotional aspects, cultural, spiritual, physical. Basically, aging is everything. It's our lives, right? A little bit about process, what we did. So I'm the Associate Director for Research for this initiative. And I have to say, I was in the intramural research program for 26 years at NIMH before I was pried out of NIH and came to the University of Arizona to become research director at the Andrew Weil Center for Integrative Medicine. So this experience has been more like being an extramural research officer than like being an intramural scientist. So it's been eye-opening, but the big question, and I guess all of you who are funders, are how do you bring people together if you want to do integrative or interdisciplinary research, and both target it to what you're interested in, but also let them have the freedom to come up with something completely new to address grand challenges. So that was a challenge. So how did we do it? We held workshops to encourage multidisciplinary, multi-college collaborations. We provided seed funding, because if you can have an infinite number of workshops, but nobody's going to do anything after they leave the workshop unless you get the seed funding. So we were fortunate to have that seed funding. We helped mentor people who were maybe not used to doing research the way we think about it in the sort of biomedical scientific domain. You know, the arts have a very different definition of research. design professionals have a very different experience of research. So we helped mentor how do you put these things together, and of course we provided support for students and trainees and community-based participatory research projects. So a lot of what you heard today came out of a virtual workshop. Again, this was in the middle of COVID, and we provided $100,000 in seed funding, up to $100,000, to carry out these projects. The requirement was that they be interdisciplinary, multi-college, and that they address grand challenges of healthy aging. To identify what are the strengths across the University of Arizona, what can we do to fill the gaps that need to be filled, and use those strengths to address that. So we had 4 research calls, not all of them for 100,000. We started off with 10,000, not that many people applied. We went up to 35,000, a few more people applied. Then when we put out 100,000, then we got a lot of people applying. And because this research costs a lot of money, especially when you're doing it with humans, it costs money. So this is a summary. I'm not going to go through all of the projects that were supported, but what you heard today were the projects in red. And what you can tell is that they really, and this I'm just going to comment as I was listening to all the projects, I sort of had some thoughts that I want to share with you. So first of all, these projects span everything from molecular to cellular to physiological to clinical to the built environment to the arts to digital storytelling to community engagement. It spans the whole gamut. And too often in biomedical research, we're very focused on one molecule or one cell or one disease. And what this did is it brought researchers together to think much more broadly. They used cutting-edge technologies, both for interventions and for analyzing mechanisms. So virtual reality, infrared cameras for sweat pore activation. They used ancient interventions, the arts, poetry, storytelling, music. If any of you have been to Greece, you've seen the temples to Asclepius, the Greek god of healing. That was the principle. You used art, music, sleep, exercise for well-being across the age spectrum. They addressed problems of aging, going from loneliness to community building, to spirituality and religiosity, to spatial navigation, to thermal comfort, to language and Alzheimer's, to skin cancer. I mean, that's, again, crosses the gamut. And that requires multidisciplinary teams. So Anissa Westcott, thank you, and I should say thank you for all you've done to organize this, and Denitza Garcia, who's out there. It's been an amazing time, and also Tara Sklar, of course, as you come in. But Anissa made this slide for me last year, and it still applies. Really, it shows the tremendous scale of multidisciplinary, multi-college collaborations. And I think you heard from Dr. Palmer, Kelly Palmer, earlier, that she was working in a different area. And she never thought that she would do something with aging, right? But then a colleague approached her and said, would you be part of this? That was part of the goal. Let's bring people in who have a skill set that can be applied to address problems in aging that they didn't even realize they could address. And there you are, you addressed it. So that was really a success of this program, because we were not only able to bring researchers who are already working on aging together, but researchers who didn't know that they could work on aging, to get them into the fold. So I was very pleased about that. And the other thing is, every single one of these projects, the reason it costs $100,000 is because you need to pay, and I didn't know this when I was at NIH, you have to pay percent effort of the faculty. I didn't know that. And you have to pay for students. people in the rest of the world don't know that you have to do this, okay? This is really important, and it costs money to support people. But that's why this was successful. We were able to support students in every single one of these projects. So not only was it successful in being able to carry out the research, but in bringing along the next generation who are now interested in all kinds of aspects of aging. And so this is going to be my last slide. You can see that this again was, Anissa put this together last year based on all of the different aspects. It's a word cloud that shows pretty much all of the different aspects that have been addressed in what you've heard today, but also in all the projects we funded. And I want to end with a quote from Dr. Kelly Palmer that I'm going to use this now whenever I speak, so thank you. So the African saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So thank you all, and I will turn it over now to Mindy Fain. There you go.
Right, thank you, Esther. So I have the privilege of kind of giving a couple of closing remarks. We've just spent a wonderful day together, and it's been a lot of fun. It's a little bittersweet because it means we're kind of done. But what I'm going to do is just kind of revisit, just in a few minutes, sort of why we're here and what guides us. And so this initiative, again, the purpose of it is to aim to meet the needs of a rapidly aging world, a more increasingly diverse world, and to recognize that it really takes everybody all together in order to do this. What's healthy aging? You could come up with 1 million different definitions. Add your adjective, feel valued, happy, belonging, connected, be able to walk, be able to think. I mean, everybody would have a phrase. But at our core, we really want to build on the interdisciplinary expertise, who are fully committed to collaboration. As you could see, I think it's been modeled here. No one walks alone. And so we, again, we see the innovations in healthy aging as a hub. It's a hug also, but it's a hub. And to connect with others where we all kind of thrive together. And that's the goal. And it's through community outreach, partnerships, education, and research. And the arts and culture was awesome. That's not a pun, but it was awesome. And I'm sort of going to draw on it just for this one slide. And so you've heard about multiple projects today, and Esther went through the whole spectrum of everything, all the domains that we think are involved in healthy aging, all the elements. And you can list them: built environment, physical health, cognitive health, emotional safety. And I think I put 3 dots at the end with the idea that I don't know that we have all the elements. I think that if this talk was given 10 years ago, some pieces might have been missing. And so I love to think about this and say, what is missing? We don't have the calculus here. Things are missing. And so I'm going to invite you to kind of look at this. Don't I sound like an artist? I'm going to invite you to look at this picture. This is the Sonoran Desert, for those of you who don't have the pleasure of living in it, because it's really, just take a look at it. And it's really easy to focus in on the elements that demand that you look at them, right? So for me, when you all look at it, you look at different things. The saguaro, those big cactus, the moms out, for those who may not know, the mountains. It's easy to say, oh, I see this picture. These things are important. Maybe it's, cognitive impairment. Maybe it's mobility. Maybe it's language, whatever. But it's easy to miss the path. It's easy to miss the shrubbery. It's easy to miss a lot of things in there, and that this is really complex. The world is complex, and we're at the risk of missing the complexity that's involved in weaving a healthy life. So as big as we can make this, this world to address healthy aging, the better. One more slide. We talk about interdisciplinary teams. and we use the word independence a lot. And I'd like to sort of offer the idea that what's really important is that we're interconnected, and somehow when we expect when people get old, that suddenly their most important goal is that they be independent, as if any of us are independent. None of us are independent, and I'd offer nobody should be independent. You know, we're really looking for a healthy interdependence with each other that changes as life goes on. And so I love that picture of the rocks. They need each other in order to stay up. And this is the last slide, because we all are interdependent on each other, right, in order to do this. And it looks kind of like we've been presenting to you, although certainly the virtual audience has been engaged, which is wonderful, but we're really here to listen. We are listening, we're writing things down, we're hearing you, and we welcome, and hopefully we modeled that, all the ideas that have come forward, and we look forward to hearing from you how to sustain and build this. Hopefully we're all as excited about it, and to think about future initiatives, future funding, all those things that keep us going. And so those are my comments, and thank you for your attention. Kathy, take it away. Somebody left glasses.
I really want to thank the organizers, Tara Scalar, Tyler Meyer, Sydney, Anissa, and Denitza, who's helping us clean up right now. Am I missing someone, Anissa? Yeah, all the folks here. And just please stay in touch and let us know what we need to do. And I agree with you, Mindy. We're about listening, and we've been talking a lot, but we really need to listen too. And thank you all for coming and presenting and for being part of it collectively. I agree with my friend Esther. You know, Kelly, your quote is absolutely right on. We can go farther.